Ready, go. Dan Grider, Probable Cause. It's January 14th, 2024. Glad to have you with us. It is Sunday night. I got some accidents to report on, but thankfully only just a couple. I'm going to get to all that as we go here. Going to be kind of a shorter version of the video here tonight. Sunday night, these are the videos that I do for every Sunday night. If you're joining us tonight in the live chat room, I want you to jump in there and say hi, say hello. Especially, I want you to say hello to Captain Laura Savino. It is her birthday, and she is celebrating her birthday, so make sure you take a moment in the live chat. I think she's probably in here. Say happy birthday. She's got this book. She's an author. She wrote this book called Jet Boss. Very interesting take on learning to be a pilot back in the times where times were hard and you couldn't get a pilot job. So she wrote this book. She sent me 6 of these things. Frankly, I read all 6. They're all identical. I think if you wanted to cut to the chase, you could probably just read one and be totally good. It's also available on Audible. Laura Savino has a YouTube channel. She's actually a pretty accomplished jet pilot. She's got a YouTube channel that she's just started if you got a chance to check it out. Captain Laura Savino and me and Donna Miller got to do quite a few things during the course of the year. Here's a little bit of footage. I love messing around with these girls because they give it back as much as I can take it. Mush, mush, mush. Here's a little bit of flying footage, flying the Lockheed Electra along with the DC-3. This is a little bit of a 2023 recap. I'm going to talk about some data. I'm going to put this up on your screen here right now real quick because we're going to talk about this a little bit more further on in the video. Here's your data: 2019, 2020, 21, 2022, and 2023. If you look at the third column over here, this is the total number of fatals, and it's going down in order: 216, 204, 191, 184, and 175. So we closed out the year 2023 with 175 fatals in the U.S. General aviation fatals, lowest since the dawn of time, and I'm very happy about that. Couple reasons for it. There's a guy named Hoover out there that's got a YouTube channel. There's a lot of guys out there with YouTube channels. There's Instagram, Facebook, social media. I think it's everybody combined putting special emphasis on staying alive and getting faster debriefs on this thing. I'm going to do a little bit of an interview Zoom call with Hoover, pilot debrief. He's got 350,000 subscribers, and he only just started his YouTube channel. I'm going to bring him on here in just a few minutes, so hang around for that. Hoover and pilot debrief is coming up next. Well, this is a real honor. I get to talk to a guy named Hoover. Hoover, say hi and tell us, I've been following your YouTube channel. I really like it. So welcome. Thanks for jumping on here.
No, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for reaching out. I know we had a little bit back and forth trying to make the schedules align, but I appreciate it. So
yeah, no, it's good. I've been watching your stuff. Tell me about pilot debrief. You're a military guy, fighter pilot. What'd you fly in the military, and where'd you get this idea for pilot debrief?
So I'll try to keep it short because it tends to be a long story. But you know, the bottom line is I joined the Air Force after graduating from the Air Force Academy, and then I went to fly the F-15E Strike Eagle.
Right.
I did that for a number of years. I also did a Marine Corps exchange program where I flew the F-18D Hornet. Did that for a couple of years before coming back to the Strike Eagle. And then at some point in my career, you know, I kind of got tied into the aviation safety world.
You flew the F-15 and the F-16, so that's basically 3 different branches. That's Marines, Navy, and Air Force?
No, just the F-15E
right.
with the Air Force, and then the F-18D with the Marine Corps.
Okay, all right. Well, I get them all mixed up. I'm not a military guy. They wouldn't let me in, but I always like watching you guys fly that stuff. That's really cool. I got one question for you here, Hoover. This is a big one.
Okay.
In the military, how much time between a sortie and your debrief?
Oh, that's a good question. So I think especially for fighter pilots, it's a little bit different than some of the other aircraft that the military flies. You know, I think every pilot has some sort of debrief process, regardless of what you fly in the military. For us flying the F-15E Strike Eagle, typically once you're done with your mission and, you know, engine shut down, it's probably about, I would say about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour after you walk back into the building before the debrief process starts. And then that debrief, depending on the type of mission that you're doing, whether there's upgrades involved, that sort of thing, that debrief could last anywhere from an hour to 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours, just depending on the complexity of things.
Yeah. Now you've started this YouTube channel and you've called it Pilot Debrief, which I find highly interesting. You're applying it to mostly GA stuff because we really don't have a debrief in GA.
Right.
It takes about 3 years to get any kind of a conclusion out of anybody on what really happened. Tell me about that lag time and what you think of that lag time.
It's frustrating. I know that government agencies move slow. That's just the nature of the government. And I know that from being in the military. One of the things that I had in mind when I started the channel is I would see these reports from the NTSB and I look through that and I think to myself, there's some stuff that they missed in here that could provide a valuable lesson to somebody else that's either learning to fly or somebody that's a current pilot. And also, I think a lot of the lessons that we learn as pilots, they're very applicable in other businesses as well. And so the debrief process, I think, is just extremely important. And so what I wanted to do is take, what we did in the Air Force and in the Marine Corps as part of that fighter pilot debrief, and let's apply that to some of these aviation mishaps to really get to some of the underlying causes and some of the issues rather than, oh, the pilot exceeded the critical angle of attack and stalled the aircraft. Okay, right. I got that. But but how did they get to that point?
Right.
What were all the factors that were leading up to that? Not just on necessarily that flight, but their past, their interactions with other people, their instruction, all of those things. So that was kind of the mindset that I had when I created the channel, just really hoping to not only share interesting and compelling aviation stories, but also hopefully, make things safer for people out there.
And you're doing it, brother. How many subscribers do you have now?
I just passed 350,000.
Yeah, you're smoking. I hope anybody's watching this, I hope you'll subscribe to Pilot Debrief. There's some excellent material. Your debriefs are good. They're applicable to GA, and they're timely. You're coming out with stuff that's more closer to real time. You've got an excellent background, and I just wanted to commend you for doing that. Are you aware that we finished out the year 2023 the lowest general aviation fatal accident rate since the dawn of time? Did you know that?
I had not seen that stat yet, but that's good to hear.
It is. And it's guys like you, social media, Instagram, all these people out there, all these more real-time things that are causing people to rethink, reevaluate, rethink about their general aviation flying and increase their propensity to try to stay alive in their little general aviation airplanes. It's the same process that you did in the military. They're just having to do it themselves via YouTube is all it is. And you are hitting a home run. You've gone from 0 to 350,000 subscribers almost overnight. There's only one reason for that. And you never say, please like and please subscribe. You don't have to because people like it and they do subscribe. Isn't that something?
Yeah, that was always my goal. I don't want to have to ask anybody to like or subscribe my videos. If they like it and if I'm making good content, I know that's what they'll do.
Yeah.
But Dan, I want to be clear about something though, because there's a lot of us, like you and I that are dedicated to this and we want to share our passion for aviation and safety with others. But a lot of people think that folks like you and I are responsible or help keep other people safe. But at the end of the day, it's the viewer, the people that are watching these videos. They are the ones that actually are making aviation safer, because for the most part, I think that the people that watch our videos, they're already being safe,
Right.
And they might learn something new and that helps them. But it's watching videos that you make, watching videos that I make, and watching videos on other channels and taking that information. They're the ones out there every, day-to-day basis interacting with people that have that opportunity, and sometimes reluctantly, but they're the ones that are able to make the difference. So you and I, we're just sharing the information as best we can.
Exactly. And I'm a little bit more cheesy than you. You're actually accomplished, military, trained, all of the above. I got none of that. And your videos, are very well done, and I appreciate your efforts. I think it is making a difference. Some of your stuff out there is I've watched some of your stuff several times over because I'm amazed what's in there. So I'd encourage everybody to check out Pilot Debrief. And brother, keep on going with what you're doing. I think you're on a roll here, and sky's the limit for you. You've got the background that I never did have and never can have with your safety background and your actual military training. So you're totally set.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Sounds good. All right. Well, we're going to get out of here, Huber. I appreciate that, and keep on keeping on. And I hope to see you out there on the road here one of these days.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you. 2023 is over. I got to do quite a few fun things during the year. Got to travel and all that kind of stuff. I got to go to a lot of crash scenes and all that kind of thing. I got quite a few videos that are going to stay up and on the air that I'm kind of proud of. I want you to go back and take a look at the Colgan video that explains the 1500-hour rule. My Colgan video is up. DB Cooper Part 1 and 2 is up. I'm working on DB Cooper Part 3. It'll be coming out in the very near future, I hope. I got several videos out there that stay up. These Sunday night videos are only on the air for about 6 days because of the timeliness of the data, and we just keep on having fresh crashes. So that's how come I do it that way. The other videos are up and on the air. We did a whole bunch of other stuff that's still on there. I want you to go back and look at the DC-3 Eastern Airlines video that's on there. That's also very good. Let's take a look at what we got coming up in 2024. The first 14 days of January are already passed. We've only got 2 fatals. I'll put these on your screen here real quick for just a second here. They happened on the 7th out in Colorado, and then just this afternoon, actually this morning in Massachusetts, 11/25 November, 7345 Romeo. That's BE55 that happened out there. So another thing I got coming up here towards the end of this, I got a Zoom call with the DTSB board. We're going to talk a little bit more about DTSB, the fact that we're now official. We're a 501c3 and we've got all that stuff done. I want you to see this Zoom call and understand a little bit better what I'm trying to get done on DTSB. Let's go back and take a look at previous history. A long time ago, I started on this general aviation fatal accident quest thing, and it's been going on a long time. I made this Facebook post and it got 1,100 shares. This was long before YouTube, long before I had any electronics or anything. I put this one Facebook post on my own personal Facebook page. It had to do with a general aviation fatal accident, LOTOT, loss of thrust on takeoff. I was amazed, 1,100 shares just off my own Facebook page. It told me that people wanted this information and they actually shared it. Then I started doing YouTube stuff on other people's channels. Check this out. This is an old video of me with Aviation 101, and I clearly explain what it is that I'm trying to do. This is long. You can see in this video, I've got no hat, I've got hair, and this is long before I even thought about having a YouTube channel. Check this out.
I concluded that if you can forgive his obnoxious guitar playing and random bars and bad manners, he really has this whole grassroots effort thing figured out.
What you and me will eventually see that's going to make it all worthwhile is that accident rate.
We're going to see that fatal accident rate start to decline. It's going to start its descent, and that'll be a satisfying day.
That will. The other thing that's up and on my YouTube channel is going to stay up. I did 12 ride-along videos for general aviation. I used Dylan and his airplane, and we went out. We used our best tech. We did the very best we could. We're not that great at it, but we did a little bit of ride-along videos to show you. I'm not trying to just show you how people died in the airplane. I'm trying to show you what habits, patterns, procedures, and best practices you can use in your airplane and some of the concepts that you can use to stay alive in your airplane.
All right, now you got a sick engine. It didn't quit. It just rolled back, and this is the amount of power that you got right here.
Okay, we got a reduction. Fuel pump on. Carb heat on. We're maintaining DMS, looking for a place to land. Carb heat. Switch tanks.
See anything good out here?
We got a small field in front of us.
Okay, and you could put it in there, right?
Yep.
All right, I'm going to give your engine back again.
Okay.
Some of the concepts that I want to really beat up for 2024 going forward so we can keep this excellent trend going. Fuel management, flying at night, try to avoid staying at night. DMMS, defined minimum maneuvering speed. Mark it and fly a stabilized traffic pattern. You're a VREF airplane unless you're a DMMS airplane. Know what your DMMS is and placard it on your airspeed indicator. Don't bust DMMS until you're a VREF airplane. Learn how to fly a stabilized approach. I'm going to show you this quick video of this airplane. Last year I traveled to this location and I shot this video of this airplane that went 1.5 miles early landing and flew it into the power line. Now, the guy survived, but check out this airplane. All right, so Grayson, tell me what you're seeing here. What part of the airplane is this?
This is the rudder. I'm not quite sure how it sustained this kind of damage without affecting the stabilizer, but I'm assuming when the cable broke, you can see on the leading edge, it dented up the leading edge, the power cables did. And what I'm thinking is when it hit the leading edge, it snapped the cable and whipped around and hit the front side of the stabilizer and cut this up. But he did manage to get it on the ground somehow, but I'm not really sure how he managed that.
So fly a stabilized approach, red over white, on speed, all that kind of stuff. And then unintentional IMC after takeoff and intentional IMC. This is where you rotate and go up into the clouds. You're either on an IFR flight plan and you're intending to, or maybe not. Here's a little video sequence from where I went and visited Philly. The guy took off from Philly northeast in a Bonanza, had his wife and daughter on board, rotated up into the clouds and promptly came right back down out of the clouds, not knowing that he was descending into that neighborhood. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is the spot where the Bonanza hit. August 18, 2018. This is the spot. They always talked about the gazebo that it damaged. It's right here. The airplane hit nose down, going very fast, and it scattered debris all down along this path. I'm not sure how fast this airplane was going when it hit, but it was going crazy fast. Intentional IMC after takeoff, he got distracted in the clouds and it only took a few seconds to come out of the clouds. He didn't stall spin. This was not spatial disorientation. He got distracted and drove it into the ground is all that happened on this one. The whole concept of LOTOT and ROTOT, remember the AOPA crash with McSpadden up in New York? I went up there and went to that crash site. I was clearly wrong in never including this new category of ROTOT. It had actually happened before. I just hadn't paid any attention to it. There's a difference between LOTOT and ROTOT. LOTOT is loss of thrust on takeoff. ROTOT is reduction of thrust on takeoff. That's what happened to the AOPA crew. Their Cardinal had a reduction in power. It actually wasn't making power on takeoff, and the engine never quit. It just didn't provide enough power to make it all the way back around.
First off, I may be a heretic in that I really don't care why the engine failed. Or what went wrong with it to give it partial power. It plainly wasn't producing full power for some reason. And I would hazard a guess that it wasn't a novel failure. Frankly, it just doesn't matter to me. What is important is what you do as the pilot after the failure. Your actions right now are the most important test in your life.
Ironic that this is the exact same maneuver that McSpadden fought so hard to get people to try to attempt to experiment to turn around to make it back to the airport. My point is, for all you guys going forward, don't attempt to make it to the airport. Put it gear up in a field off airport someplace. Open the door and step out. It's not that big of a deal. If you try to make it back to the airport, you're a ROTOT, and that's what it is. The McSpadden is very unfortunate, and I'm very sorry for this tragic loss of life for both families, both Russ's family and McSpadden's family. A horrible crash, but it's a ROTOT, and I want you to learn from this. You're going to have a reduction of thrust on takeoff. Do not try to get this airplane back to the airport. Fly with enough fuel. Try to avoid flying at night. Know your speed. Know your traffic pattern. In the traffic pattern, be predictable. Be at altitude. Don't do this teardrop right descending, teardrop into a left downwind, teardrop entry. Don't do that stuff. Talk on the radio. I want you on the radio. Don't just make a position report. Talk to the other airplanes and work something out. It's not congesting the frequency. If you need to squeeze the mic and work something out with the other guy, then do it. We're only into the first 14 days of the month, but I want to show you what the screen looks like. And I want to show you real quick what the month could look like. Here's September of 2022. Look how many fatals we had in September of 2022. This is amazing. So we're actually really, really good for January of 2024. I'd like to keep the trend going the best we could here and try try to keep our fatals as absolutely low. We've got a goal for 2024. We've actually got a 5-year goal and a 10-year goal on where we want this thing to be. I think we're hitting on all cylinders here right now, and I totally like it. I'm going to put this screen up on here for you for January. This is the first two. This is Jared Hansen, November 712 Delta Golf, and his wife out there, 12:41 p.m. on the 7th, the Highlander in Colorado. We have very little information on what happened out there. Jared was about 45 years old. I can't find out exactly. And then today, November 7, 345 Romeo. Here's a picture of the airplane. That's a BE-55 in Massachusetts. It's a stall spin. The guy's name was Bill Hampton. He had one passenger on board in the right seat and another person in back. I can't tell yet who was in what seat and how this was going, but it kind of looks like a VMC demo. Remember, this is the exact same scenario from Alabama where they took the Travel Air and did a VMC demo and got it into a spin and could not get it out. I've got one person that's called me that watched this thing go in. It definitely spun in all the way from about 4,500 feet. So that's all I know so far. All speculation, all hearsay at this point. No idea. It's literally just a couple hours old as I'm recording this. The BE-55 and the Travel Air have basically the same airframe and same wing. Very difficult airplane to get out of a flat spin when it goes into it. All right, we're going to talk about the DTSB. This is very important, and it's actually official. I want to talk about donations and all that kind of stuff. If you want to support me and my work on all that kind of thing, I appreciate that. Your $1 and $2 very small donations toward that are very much appreciated for anything that you want to. You students and low-time people out there and people struggling for a career, do not donate. Don't even think about it. Just watch the videos to try to stay alive. If you can afford $1 or $2, here's the places that you can put it, and it helps me out a lot. Zelle, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo. Those really should be for very small donations, $1 and $2, where you're not expecting or filing it on your taxes and expecting a IRS tax deduction notice and all that kind of stuff. If you can afford to slide me $1 as a tip or $2 as a tip, that's perfectly acceptable, and I certainly appreciate that. The DTSB is going to be for larger donations. I'm going to cut to the chase and show you what the DTSB is actually going to be for here right now. I've got a Zoom call that's pre-recorded. I'm going to play it right now. All right, we're going to cut to this segment of tonight's show. I got a whole bunch of knuckleheads on here. It's the DTSB board. I'm going to show them to you. We're missing one out of the players here tonight, but we got a Zoom call that I'm going to kind of screen grab. I want to show who these guys are and where they're from. They're volunteers. They're very interested in helping with the project here. Before I do that, I'm going to play a quick clip here of kind of how this thing started a long time ago with my general aviation fatal accident rate vendetta. I'm trying to lower the fatal accident rate. Here's that.
I concluded that if you can forgive his obnoxious guitar playing and random bars and bad manners, he really has this whole grassroots effort thing figured out.
What you and me will eventually see, this can make it all worthwhile, is that accident rate.
We're going to see that fatal accident rate start to decline. It's going to start its descent, and that'll be a satisfying day.
That will. So anyway, here we are. You can see kind of where this whole thing evolved from. It's been a long time in process. Tonight's a special night because I got 4 of the 5 board members plus Matt, our CPA up in Nashville, who's going to handle the money side of this thing. I'd like to go down the line here and introduce these guys here, and they're going to each say a word about themselves, their flying, their background, their companies, and where they're from. Howard, let me start with you. This is Howard Epstein up in Ohio.
Hi, I'm a medical doctor practicing rheumatology. I've been flying for 51 years, and I've been watching Dan's channel for 3 years. And 2 years ago, having the knowledge from watching his channel, it saved me in an in-flight emergency when my crankshaft broke in my Bonanza. Great to be part of this.
Thank you, Howard. I appreciate that a lot. Right below you is probably the ugliest guy in the bunch. That's Dr. Mike. 2 doctors over here. Dr. Mike, I'll try to do some movie photo editing on you going forward here, I hope.
I appreciate that. I'm Dr. Michael Williams. I'm a house call physician, geriatrics here in Midlothian, Texas, near Dallas. I started watching Dan many years ago, and it really got me fired up about safety. I'd had a hiatus from 1999 until just a few years ago from flying and got back into it. So I was a rusty pilot. I only have about 760 hours now. I have a Mooney, Cessna, but because of Dan and Josh and Scott Purdue and so many others, I really got interested in the whole safety aspect of aviation. So I started a every other month safety meeting, Texas Air Safety here at Midway Regional Airport a little over a year ago. And in fact, Dan was my very first speaker. I was really kind of shocked when I called him. I said, "Can you come talk?" And he said, "Absolutely." So he came out and stayed with my wife and I, Joe, and we had a great talk. Scott Purdue showed up and surprised us all. So it was Dan and Scott simultaneously. It was a well-attended meeting, and we've been doing those every other month since. Hope to have Dan out again this year. Air safety, as everyone knows, is extremely important. We've got too many friends in the area, and it's a small community, and we've lost some folks here. One of my instructors, in fact, died. But hopefully through this program, and I'm very excited to be part of this group, and if we can save a few lives, that'd be wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you, Doctor. Up in the upper right-hand corner, Justin, also my RTO example. I met Justin here because of his airplane accident. Justin, say hi.
Hey everybody, my name is Justin. I'm from Austin, Texas. I'm a general contractor, and I'm about 1,000-hour pilot. Currently fly a Saratoga, and a couple years ago lost an engine, or lost a valve in an engine on a short field takeoff that ultimately resulted in a crash. No injuries, and it was about maybe a year prior to that accident that I got really interested in flight safety content on YouTube. I gravitated towards Dan's channel because I thought it was more direct, and it focused on something that I hadn't heard anywhere else, which was really about how do you handle an incident that you're not prepared for versus constantly practicing stuff that typically you were ready for and aware of. So and I had remembered previous to that accident, I had done a flight review, and we were doing power on stalls, and it's a completely different experience when you're expecting that, and when you're looking for it, when you can set up for it, when you've done clearing turns and your mind is ready, versus when you realize your airplane is no longer climbing. And so I thought that it was a really impactful thing for me to understand and to try and share the idea of AQP and the concepts about being prepared for something that you are not prepared for, and understanding how your body's going to react to that and the time that it's going to take to make those decisions. And I didn't see that content anywhere else. There wasn't anybody else talking about that. Maybe a little bit from Josh, maybe a few here and there, but it wasn't being pounded into my head the way that it was in Dan's channel. So I gravitated towards it. After the accident, we had an opportunity to talk. We had a lot of positive feedback from that experience from my aviation community in Central Texas. Lots of people have asked, and we've spoken about it. We've talked about experiences, and I've completely changed my flying behavior. So now every time we go out, we always find a scenario, no matter what, even if we're just going for breakfast, we always find a scenario to practice. And I think it's made me a safer, better pilot. And I hope that through this process, we can do the same thing for others. So I'm super excited to be a part of this.
I appreciate that. Yes, your was a rejected takeoff. You were a failed reject. You failed to reject in time, and you took it into the air, is what happened. And you were cordial enough to make a video and talk about it, and I beat you up hard on that. And it was because you didn't know about the RTO concept. You hadn't thought about it, and the 50-70 rule and stuff like that. So I appreciate you taking a hit for the community, and you've done well. Right below Justin is Nate, my buddy out in Idaho, my backwoods buddy with Aero LED out there. Say hi, Nate, and tell us who you are. I think you're still muted.
Now you make it complicated. Nate Galvin from Boise, Idaho. I'm president, CEO of Aerolids. I've been flying since I got out of college, currently fly a P210. Started watching Dan. I don't know how I stumbled on him. It's probably his dashing good looks and personality that drove me in, and all the rest is history. So back to the AQP thing, was as a mechanical engineer, was alluring. I had no idea it even existed. And I obviously have a lot of friends that are airline pilots. and they knew exactly what it was, and they gave me the background of how they train, and then I put two and two together, and because they knew what it was, and I had the epiphany of says, why is this not everybody's handbook? And so I started digging in deeper and downloaded that document and went through it, and I just immediately felt a little bit shorted on the prior training, because it seemed like there was a lot of open holes in my game, in my flying game, when you apply it to AQP. So I'm a huge believer in it. I think that if I'm any part of making that a part of general aviation, I think I'd be a successful line of my resume.
I appreciate that a lot, Nate. And Nate's company donated a pair of Aero LEDs for the DC-3, and those are the brightest lights. I appreciate that. I haven't given you all the limelight that I need to off that, but I appreciate that. Those wing lights on the DC-3 are fantastic. Right directly underneath me is my buddy in Nashville. The DTSB board has 5 members on it, but only 4 are pictured here. Jacob is in Florida, and we'll see a lot of him later on, but he actually got called out on an emergency airplane trip this morning. Matt is directly beneath me. He's going to be the accounting firm. And Matt, tell us about yourself, your firm, and the management of the DTSB as far as accepting the money and how this whole thing's going to work.
Sure. Thanks, Dan. My name is Matt Evers. As Dan mentioned, I'm from Nashville, Tennessee here. We met in one of Dan's trips with the DC-3 out to Dixon, Tennessee. I took my 4-year-old son out, and we met Dan, and we really had a good time there. So I operate the accounting firm Evers CPA. We specialize in accounting for custom home builders, and my role with the organization is a non-voting role, and that is going to be to maintain financial controls and safeguard the assets of the organization.
Perfect, and I appreciate that. And I'm gonna clarify real quick. I am not on the board. There's 5 voting board members on the DTSB board. I am not one of them, and I don't want to be. I'm going to be out here doing these projects, but the only purpose of the board, I'm going to do the fundraising, but all the money is going to go to Nashville. It's going to be held by the accounting firm. We're going to be completely transparent in what money comes in and how the money got spent. So it should alleviate a lot of problems, and it should provide some relief for me going out there and traveling. So the idea is that after I travel or after we do a project, I can go back to the board with receipts in hand and finished video in hand and say, here's where I was at, here's the accident I went to, here's my rent car and hotel receipts. How about a reimbursement for that? And the board is only going to vote to reimburse. So there's nobody on salary. None of these guys in all these auxiliary advisories, nobody's on any kind of a salary. Matt's only job is to accept the money into an account, keep track of it, make the accounting public via the website, and then the board, all 5 of those, have to vote on reimbursements or expenses or anything that anybody goes to the board and asks for money. So it's kind of a safe. The money goes in there and it's safe, and I'm very happy with that whole process. It's going to be a huge relief to me to have it set up like that. And if you can tell from that clip that we looked at, I'm going to show it one more time at the end of this, but this has been a long running quest for me, and I've been a one-man show, a lone ranger out here trying to spend all my own money and all my travel and expense. It's been a huge load, and I appreciate you guys. I can't tell you what a relief it feels like to know that the DTSB is now an organization. We have a fund, we have stuff. I can collect money, I can do fundraising. It all goes to Nashville. The bank account is secure, the accounting is transparent, and the board member is the only people that can send those funds back out again. I'm very excited about the entire thing. And Matt, I'll just ask you one more question here. As far as the accounting here, your accounting firm has the capability to accept this. What's the security on the money? How can people be assured that money that they donate to DTSB is actually secured by your company?
Yeah, so we're going to maintain a separate bank account. The intention here is that I'm going to be the only person that has access to the account. My firm will manage those funds, and we're going to have standard operating procedures established to follow the flow of funds. For example, we've already started working on establishing that expense reimbursement policy, and anything that comes up, this is brand new, so we may have to establish additional procedures. But when that time comes, we'll work through with the board in our monthly meetings to establish those standard operating procedures for the organization. But the funds will go to a separate bank account. No one else will have access to those funds. And as funds are released, our goal is to make those transactions public via the DTSB website.
I think it's perfect. Donors can donate towards the DTSB and know that their money is going towards our efforts, and only the 5 on the board get to approve how that money actually gets spent. I'm not on the board. I don't want to be on the board. I just want to do my thing and keep on doing what I'm doing. So I appreciate each one of you guys. The support from everybody here has been huge here, especially in the last 6 months. And that graphic, I want to put that graphic up on the screen one more time here. Look at the last 5 years here. We're actually seeing an earth-shaking difference here. We are actually, and I say we, it's everybody combined. It's social media, it's internet, it's Instagram and Facebook, and all the people who are putting the concept out there to be more careful in the airplane, be more proactive, think about this, do a better pre-flight, carry more fuel, be ready for those things. That's not just me. That's all of social media. I think this organization here has absolutely the capability of spearheading this thing and taking AQP for general aviation up to the next level. And I look forward to working very closely with each one of you guys. I want you to know how much everybody in America appreciates you. I think you guys, you 6 guys, are going to take the next 5 years and bend this rate even further. What you and me will eventually see that's going to make it all worthwhile is that accident rate.
We're going to see that fatal accident rate start to decline. It's going to start its descent, and that'll be a satisfying day.
That will. So that's it. If you would like to be featured on this YouTube channel, if you are a person that can afford a substantial donation to the DTSB, it is tax deductible, and I would like to feature you. Anybody that donates $1,000 or more, I'd like to do a Zoom call and talk about you and your flying, and I'll play it on this YouTube channel. Your tax deductible donation goes direct to Nashville, Tennessee, and I'd like to celebrate you, your flying career, in honor of whoever you want it to be in. Our larger donations, I'm going to include a link in this. This is the DTSB Super Fund. It's active and available as of right now. Let's fund this thing. I'd like to do more videos. I'd like to get more people involved. I'd like to have a way of covering expenses and making these videos. I think we are making a difference out there. If you look at this data, I'm going to put it up on the screen here one more time. This is earth-shaking. We are actually, I want you to take a look at this, 2023, 175 fatals for the year, and we did actually very good. So that's it. My great appreciation to all those volunteers out there that feed me information, pictures, the graphics people, the DTSB board. Everybody has been super helpful in getting this across. I want to tell you how much of a workload relief it feels to be to not be carrying this load alone any longer. This has been huge, and I have been working so hard on this. I really feel like now I've got a lot of people truly helping, and this is going to be a really good thing. Donate towards the DTSB Super Fund as you're able. Your donations are tax deductible, going towards the DTSB Super Fund, and it all goes to that location. I hope I've made that very, very clear on what that is. And once that money goes in there, I'm not on the DTSB board, and all that money only comes out via a vote from the 5 board members, and that's exactly how that's going to work. We'll get this video up and on there. Make sure you say happy birthday to Captain Savino. She'll appreciate that. We'll have a good time razzing her a little bit. Make sure you give her your very best insult if you can. That would be totally cool as well, and I would appreciate that. She deserves it. From a tiny little itty-bitty fledgling YouTube channel, Dan Grider, Problem Cause.